Hey guys, it's March, and you're listening to Hola Bicholas, Hola Bicholas, Casa de Dragon. Alright guys, welcome back. Episode 7 of Casa de Dragon, where we recap House of the Dragon on HBO Max. And I'm your host, March. So, yeah, what an episode. I mean, all the means, like there's so many conversations that have happened regarding this episode. There was It's Too Dark. Once again, Mr. S is out here directing in the day with wanting to give us Twilight, which we don't need you to give us Twilight. Just give us a day shoot or shoot the interior. That's it. We don't have to overcomplicate this. But nonetheless, very dark episode, at least for the first half of the episode. Also a very quiet episode, and yet loud at the same time. How does he do that? So dual, in this moment where they're speaking, but they're also speaking so loudly. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, guys, yeah, I've seen the episode like at least 3 or 4 times this week. Just because I really enjoyed the episode. I found myself I'm on House of the Dragon team. I'm not on anybody else's side. I'm not siding with the Targaryens. I'm not siding with the Greens. I'm literally just siding with the House of the Dragon. I'm enjoying this season so much, and I felt like this episode was such an example of why you think well, you know what? Let's just get right into the episode because I can just go on and off on tangents. But yeah, let's just get right into the episode. So we open up with a funeral. And at the funeral, everyone's giving each other looks. And it's a look to the left, a look to the right. Your left, my right. But they're giving just like each other these just quiet but like very strong looks to say, we're all in this place and none of us want to be here, but we're here to honor this woman who we've all barely knew. But because this is our duty, these are the houses that we've like pledged and married into, we have to sit here and stand with one another, even though we can't stand each other. And Allison is just giving the most disgusted looks over at Rhaenyra. And Rhaenyra is looking longingly over to her uncle Daemon. And then you have the king who's wondering, where is Emma? And then we have the children, which honestly, I know this was a children heavy episode, but I really loved like the cousins, in particular Daemon and Rhaenyra's kids, just, finding comfort with each other and standing together against, the other Targaryens. But again, we'll get into that. So yeah, we have like the children, we have all of these other kind of random people looking around, everyone kind of giving glances at each other. And one of the things I was wondering was like, okay, yes, it looked really windy, but why wasn't there just like a nice fire in the middle, somewhere where they can all just kind of gather at, and maybe create some sort of, tech or system that prevented the windiness from burning the fire out? Because I could tell that there was a bunch of candles on like the edges, of some of these places. There was like a lot of like burnt wax, but like none of the candles were lit. And this space could have really used some warmth. But I kind of feel like, well, maybe the whole point was like he wanted to really make it cold just because of everyone was so cold towards one another, which like, yeah, okay, but like it's really cold and I really want some fire. So if you could just warm up this place, that would be great. Thank you. And so now we're seeing Larys staring off at Allison, and he's like, he just cannot wait to get that look back of acceptance. and desire, and not like a desire in a sexual way, but like a desire for like, what's the next unhinged thing I can do for you? Like a madman, like a psycho, like a killer, like someone who's just not totally there, you know? And one of the things that really kind of, I didn't know how to like understand this. I don't want to say internalize it, because it's not for like me to break down within myself, but like I didn't know how to understand Damon's lack of mourning, or at least lack of appearing of mourning. He just seemed so annoyed to be there in general, and being cold to everyone, including his children who are mourning. You know what I mean? These children are mourning. They are so sad, and they're just so alone. And like the very thing that he could have done at the very least was just kind of like be there. And he's just so, I don't know, Targaryen, I guess. And so, there was a couple of moments here that were a little bit unhinged. In particular was Sir Lord Corlys, who runs up to Laenor's concubine, and he's basically like, go get your man. This is embarrassing. And I'm thinking, why is it embarrassing? He's literally mourning his sister. The man can't mourn in the water with where y'all are from or come from. Like, I don't understand what's wrong with that. If any of you know, please let me know. Oh, another thing, I actually started listening to Fire and Blood on Audible. Not sponsored, but sponsor me, Audible. I started listening to it, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's quite nice because even though I'm not at the place where we are right now at the House of the Dragon, I'm enjoying listening just to some of the connections and the references they've made in this episode and in previous episodes with the history of like where I'm at. Like right now, I think I'm in 50 AC. And this one takes place at least like 130, 140 AC. So yeah, it's been quite fun. And now we're with Lord Corlys and Rhaenys. And they're basically talking plainly about how this house should belong to this all of this land should belong to Laena's kids, because they're the true bloodline of Corlys, the Velaryons. And Rhaenyra's kids are not. And he's basically saying, the big trailer comment, the big trailer like talking point where he's saying, history does not remember blood, it remembers names. And I actually thought this scene was going to be about something different, a little bit like it was going to be about a war that they were going to start, or maybe a takeover. But this is kind of the same thing a little bit. It is true that history does remember names and it doesn't remember bloodlines. And so in this moment, it felt so much more thinking ahead of your children's like needs, is to say that like, what's to say that the kids are going to want to like, own the throne or be on the throne, or you're almost like not even giving them an option, which again, I understand that like there needs to be a king, because if not, then it would be a civil war all the time. But this moment just kind of felt a little like, okay, Corlys, like, yeah, this is all for you and not for Ray or for Rhaenys. And so now we're with Rhaenyra and her uncle Daemon, or Paemon, and they're basically like, talking about how she was bored and Strong kept her company, and her and Laenor did try, and Daemon's kind of like, I've never been more uninterested in what's been going on in your life, but I'm gonna listen, right? Because this is what I'm supposed to do. I almost kind of feel like Daemon is like, I know he's also an agent of chaos, but I feel like he's kind of just like, I don't know, a little passionless, pursuitless. He just doesn't want to pursue anything. He's being driven by everyone else around him. Like, he's on the passenger side in his life. It's kind of how I feel about Damon right now. Like, at least in these last 10 years. I mean, before, when he was at the Stepstones, well, that's a different Damon. I don't know who this Damon is. He just feels lacking in life. And, you know, I get it. Things didn't go his way, but like, I don't know. He just kind of seemed a little like, nah, like there, but not there. And now we head into like one of the most beautiful scenes, which at first I didn't know what to think of it, right? Because we have Amond, who we know is kind of like quiet, introverted, maybe even quite shy, but it's more of that he just hasn't really found his voice, right? And we see him deciding to take on, I think it's Vagar, the dragon. And he decides that, well, I'm going to ride this damn dragon, and Vagar is just going to have to deal with it, and so is everybody else. So I honestly, sometimes I get chills when I see this moment, just to see this little tiny person, this little like 10-year-old kid, maybe 13, prepubescent kid, ride one of the largest dragons of this time is insane. Absolutely insane. And he gets up on there, and you think he isn't going to make it, but obviously he does. And he's just riding through the actual night sky with this beautiful dragon, and the Vagar is just like spreading its wings and just playing with the water, and it just felt like such a ride. Like, I wouldn't necessarily want to ride a dragon, but I would want to ride a dragon. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, I thought about how exhilarating it must have felt for him to take this on and then walking back into the driftwood castle, and just to be so proud of himself to only have his other cousins come in, like brother cousins, nephews, nephew, half brother. No, you know, shouldn't be this hard. I think they're just like nephews. And, you know, they're engaging. And so, like, this scene in particular was just insane. Like, these kids are just fighting with like stones and sand and literally knocking each other out. And mind you, like, I get it. We've all been there, especially when we grow up with like a lot of our cousins. You just get into fistfights with them, and literally anybody gets it. There is no, you're a girl, I'm a boy. Like, we have like, well, I'm gonna like not hit you because you're a girl, or I'm not gonna hit you because you're a boy and you're gonna hit me harder. Like, you take blows, you go in there. And I thought that was pretty tight, honestly, that they were just like not afraid to like fight one another, especially because Aemond was being an absolute dickhead. But at the same time, I get it. Like, he just got off of riding like the biggest dragon of this time, which he stole, but you know, you have to own the dragon. Lena said it. And then you want to kind of like boost and show it off, only to like, you know, have these other younger rugrats come in and just try to like steal your thunder. Like, I get it. It sucks, but like, it didn't have to go for blows. But at the end of the day, it was still pretty deserving, because now Aemond has one eye. He got one eye. But it was still pretty good. I mean, obviously, I don't condone violence whatsoever, but this violence felt necessary, especially because it absolutely brings out the most, you know, the most difficult thing that can happen when you're a parent and you're a parent and you have siblings, or you have, cousins or in-laws, and everybody has kids. And so, everyone, I feel like, is always kind of walking like a thin line between like, when is this going to get crazy? When is it not? Because like cousins are just going to row. They just are. It's just like a thing that happens. I guess in my experience, it's just a thing that happens with cousins. Like, everyone's growing up, everyone's going through puberty, and especially if everyone's around similar ages, it just has a tendency to happen. And, I just know that it can just be really hard to, navigate conversations about like violence in particular when other people, especially you're dealing with like other adults who maybe aren't easy to have these kind of conversations with, or whatever other things are kind of like holding on to you. And so that kind of comes through a lot, especially with Allison, right? Because it was Rhaenyra's kids that, it was Jace who cut up Aemond. And so it comes through a lot when Allison's kind of like, you feel entitled to like my kid's eye. You feel entitled to everything. And so all of this jealousy and hate that she's had towards Rhaenyra, because Rhaenyra has just been like living her own life and hasn't had to sacrifice, in a sense, much in the way that Allison has, especially because they were peers, as they, they were best friends before Allison got married off to the king. We have Rhaenyra, who didn't necessarily want to be married to Laenor and, did her duty, but was still out there frolicking with whomever she wanted, and didn't necessarily, appease and tried to be righteous and like sacrificial in any way. She was just kind of like, I'm going to put up appearances, but like, I'm going to still do me. I could see why Allison's like very jealous and upset about that, because Allison's like, I've done everything I'm supposed to do and you still get away with doing whatever you want. It's like, again, Allison, you really could have done those things. No one stopped you. You really could have. Y'all could have been two girls around the castle, just like getting on with whoever you wanted, and the king wouldn't have said anything. I think he would have understood. Like, it just makes sense. He thinks you're Emma anyway. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter at all. So, rewind a little bit, because I obviously skipped over one of the biggest parts of the friggin' show, which is Daemon and Rhaenyra hooking up. That's all I'm going to say about it. So now, and so fast forward back to being in the hall. And, I think it's interesting that when you are defending your bloodline and when you are defending your children, it all comes out. It all finally comes out. And I think this is a great moment for the both of them, because it really allows them to move forward and really behave themselves in their truest sense with one another, not behaving in a way where they're just keeping up appearances. They really are putting themselves as they want to present with each other. And we needed to lose an eye in order to, get the story to keep on going. And then we find ourselves with Allison and her dad. And she's basically telling her dad that, like, I know I messed up. I fucked everything up. I showed how crazy I actually am and how I really can't like keep it together. And her dad's like, I've never seen anything like this from you before. I am so happy it's there, because now I know you really, really want to win this. And we can absolutely win this together. And I was kind of like, what do you mean we can absolutely win this together? All of a sudden, we? Honestly, Otto, like, that really annoyed me, because I just thought, like, she's the one that's had to do every little thing, put up with everything. And now all of a sudden it's a we thing? What, you've been gone for 10 years and now it's a we thing? Sir, it is an Allison thing. This is Allison's game. And you're her hand now. You're not daddy. You're her hand. Know your place. then there's a couple of moments here where it's, Lenore talking to Rhaenyra, who's getting stitched up. And I haven't heard anyone say this, but like, where is baby Joffrey? He is nowhere to be seen this entire episode. Where is baby Joffrey? Actually, maybe no. Was it the last two? No, even the last episode, I didn't see baby Joffrey. But where is he now? Maybe did he stay back at King's Landing or maybe at Dragonstone? Because I just feel like he's just like the forgotten baby. Third baby, forgotten baby. I mean, it happens, There's just too many to keep up with. One of y'all's gonna get forgotten. But we have, Rhaenyra and Laenor, and they're talking about how, Laenor wants to recommit and yada, 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 because he's been gone so long. And Rhaenyra's like, sure thing, babe, but I'm going to kill you now because I can't rule with you by my side. You're just not enough and you'll never be enough. So I'm going to kill you. And so then we find ourselves with Laenor and Quarrel. Is it Quarrel? Quarrel. No, that's what he was doing with Quarrel. He was quarreling with Quarrel. Laenor was quarreling with Quarrel. And, the scene soon after that, it's basically Laenor is dead and he's gone. And it's like, okay, well, that was pretty quick. And then we find ourselves with, Rhaenyra and her uncle Paemon. And they're basically saying how, like, let everybody think that you killed or suspected that we killed Laenor because we would want them to fear us. We don't necessarily have to admit to anything, but at the very least, even if they think it, they will fear it. And I thought they were really two crazy Targaryens. And at the very least, they're not brother and sister, they're uncle and niece. And there's a huge age gap. And I'm like, I get it. Like, not that I get it, obviously. I mean, based off the book and based off of history, this isn't like that off the wall, these two and their relationship. It's just not necessarily something I thought I would have to be talking about. You know what I mean? I didn't necessarily think but I guess we gotta get one in. And if the Lannisters from Game of Thrones were the incestuous bunch, at the very least there's a one-off here. So it's not that bad. It's just off-putting. But still, these two are just kind of like, yeah, we'll just like rule together. And again, I felt like, Paemon, I don't even know if I can call you Paemon anymore. I don't really think you're like an arbiter of chaos. You are just hanging on a thread. I don't really think I just don't see the fire within you. Maybe the next episode, but I don't see it within you now. So now Laenor gonna die, and Laenor is dead, and he gone because he's burning, because we see his body and his necklace and his weirdly lanky tall body just sprawled out. And oh my God, I shed a couple of tears because I felt Rhaenyra's pain. It really felt like she just lost her son. I mean, she did just lose her son, but I mean, like, the actress, I really hope they win awards with this one because, oh my God. And then I don't know how much time has passed because, they like to do that thing where they just cut through time and, travel, and who knows how long it took him to travel. But now Rhaenyra and Daemon are in their wedding ceremony, and they're kissing each other lovingly and binding together by blood and maybe by some fire in the background. And the kids are just like, ew, gross. What? And, that's right, kids. Ew, gross, what? Because sometimes you just don't know what to make of a situation, and all you can say is, ew, gross, what? And yeah, then they're just kissing and making out and spilling their blood while their lips were being split by obsidian stone, which it looked quite nice. I actually have an obsidian stone gua sha tool for my face. And then we get the huge reveal that Laner ain't dead. And I thought, oh, she is our queer queen. She protects queer lives and sets them free. Oh, Rhaenyra, you will be a great queen. And I hope that is a direction we are heading into. But man, it's been such a great season. These episodes have been just so fantastic. I've enjoyed, Casa the Dragon. I've enjoyed recapping it. I've enjoyed just, taking it all in. I really feel like they're really giving it their all, and giving it their all to the point that we almost can't even see it. But it works, adjust a little bit of the settings, maybe get some blackout things, make some blackout curtains, turn off the lights. But it's working for me. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say right now that I haven't really covered, or at least I've covered my favorite parts. But what did you guys think of this episode? I mean, I know there was probably everything that could have possibly been said has been said, but anyway, I still think, let me know. It's just been so good. Are you enjoying the season? Are you enjoying our time together? Are you enjoying the actors, the time jumps? So, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions or comments, you know where to find me. Hit me up on hbxpod@gmail.com, or you can find me on hbxpod on Instagram and Hola Bichola on TikTok.